Hello there. Um, Tonight I usually try to stay away from the political, but this has just got me unnerved. President Obama and his love of using that ink pen. Executive order on gun control. Now it's not been signed in yet, but it's gonna be. Whenever he can't get his way with Congress, he goes behind and uses that executive power. And I know a lot of y'all are going to disagree with me. I might lose some fans, but this is just something I feel strongly about. No, I'm not a member of the NRA, but I am a gun owner. And the article I'm reading is written by Forbes. This tells how Obama aims to improve background checks on gun buyers, community safety, mental health treatment, and smart gun technology. And that was in the words of the White House press room, okay? Number one, to keep guns out of the wrong hands through background checks. I mean, seriously, folks, do you really think that these proposed stronger background checks are going to keep guns out of the wrong hands? No, because I'll tell you what's going to happen. You're going to still have illegal gun sales. Yeah, you're going to drive up the cost of guns for everybody. That isn't even fair, okay? We have a right to protect our families. Okay? And I realize that everybody that owns a gun isn't mentally stable and it doesn't always have the best intention. But that being said, I mean, think about it. Think about it seriously. If you make it harder to get guns legally, I'll tell you, they're going to be buying them illegally, like they do now. They are going to be stealing them. So anyone that owns a gun, I advise you to go buy a very strong gun cabinet right now. Because once this passes, you're going to see break-ins go through the roof. I mean, and maybe not in every neighborhood, but in not so good neighborhoods, you are going to see break-ins go through the roof, okay? The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives is making it clear that it doesn't matter where you conduct business, stores, gun shows, on the internet. If you're in the business of selling firearms, you have to get a license, and you are going to be required to, well, you already are, but you're going to be required to conduct the new background check. They're also finalizing a rule to require background checks for people trying to buy some of the most dangerous weapons and other items through a trust or corporation or other entities. And Attorney General Loretta Lynch, she has sent out a letter to the states highlighting the importance of receiving a complete criminal history record and criminal dispositions. That dispositions is like when you go to court, how your case is disposed. And information on persons disqualified because of mental illness and crimes of domestic violence. And that's another thing. Domestic violence. I mean, there are folks that do not need to be owning a firearm because they're volatile. Now, okay, let me give you an incident. And I'm not even going to tell you who's involved in it. I'm just going to give you an incident that I know to be true. Now, a husband and a wife have a spat. Okay? The husband, they're driving back from visiting a relative. The husband's asleep in the passenger seat. The wife's driving. Okay? All of a sudden, the wife, she gets frustrated because she's lost. She's not familiar with the area and she's lost. And the old man's asleep. And she just starts slapping the doggy dookie out of him. Okay? So she pulls the car over. He gets out of the car. She gets out of the car. And I mean, she's steady trying to get, yelling, screaming at him. And here, I mean, he just woke up. She sits down on a stump. He walks up to her. I mean, this is after she's done slapped the dookie out of him. He walks up and simply flicks her in the forehead with it like this. Okay? It just so happens that right at that moment when he flicks her in the forehead, here comes a cruiser. Now the cruiser takes him, since they saw him flick her in the head. Now they didn't see him, they didn't see her slapping the dog dookie out of him, but they see him flick her in the head. So he gets charged with domestic violence, banning him from ever owning a gun because he flicked her in the head because they had an argument. Okay, and now granted, I'm not saying that it was right he did that, but it sure as heck wasn't right that she did what she did to him either. So now, the poor guy's got a record the rest of his life. He can't own a firearm. Now there are domestic violence cases where, like I said, there doesn't need to be a weapon in the home like that. Now, the FBI is overhauling the background check system to make it more efficient. And they're wanting to make background checks available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And then they're wanting to improve notifications of local authorities when certain prohibited persons unlawfully attempt to buy a gun. And now that part I gotta agree with. That part really needs to be fixed. Number 2, they want to make our communities safer from gun violence, and this is how they plan to do it. This is some of the guidelines. The Attorney General convened a call with the U.S. attorneys around the country to direct federal prosecutors to continue on to focus on smart and effective enforcement of our gun laws. The President's 2017 budget for the fiscal year is going to include funding for 200 new ATF agents and investigators to help enforce our gun laws. Now I have a problem with that, and here is why I have a problem with that. I have a problem with that because they're saying that they cannot afford to hire any more agents to get these illegals out of our country, to secure our borders. But then all of a sudden, they've got enough money to hire all the new agents, ATF agents, to try to squish our gun rights. Okay? Now it says they've established an internet investigation center to track illegal online firearm trafficking and is dedicating $4 million and additional personnel to enhance the National Intelligence Ballistics Information Network. Where's all this money coming from all of a sudden? Considering the fact that our schools are turning to shit, we've got veterans sleeping out on the street, and the government needs to take care of that first. Okay? And I'm not saying to let these criminals run amok. ATF is finalizing a rule to ensure dealers who ship firearms lawfully notify law enforcement if their guns are lost and stolen when they're being shipped, after they leave the office and before they reach the client or the buyer. Okay, number 3, increase mental health treatment and reporting to the background check system. Obama kind of got frustrated with the politicians who blame mass shootings on mental illness as a way of diverting attention from gun control. Here's your chance to support these efforts, he said. Put your money where your mouth is. They're proposing, his administration is proposing a new $500 million investment to increase access to mental health care. I don't have a problem with the mental health care. But, I mean, it just scares me when they start on that path. Are they going to include somebody that gets clinically depressed, that gets better through medication and treatment? Or what about somebody that has a seasonal disorder, where they're fine when the sun is shining, but when it gets gloomy for a period of time, they suffer from depression. I don't remember what they call it, but seasonal depression disorder, I'm not sure. I mean, how far are they going to go with that? Are they just going to get the ones who are just like psychotic, or are they going to get the ones that are mild, that are improving with treatment? Says now this one gets me. Social Security Administration has indicated that it will begin the rulemaking process to include information in the background check system about beneficiaries who are prohibited from possessing a firearm for mental health reasons. Really? I mean, this is starting to look like Hitler's Germany to me. And I'm not saying it's in full swing yet, but I'm just saying they're encroaching people, and they're going to keep encroaching until they get their way. The Department of Health and Human Services is finalizing rule to remove unnecessary legal barriers preventing states from reporting relevant information about people prohibited from possessing a gun for specific mental health reasons. And like I said, I mean, that's fine if you have somebody that's just over the top Looney Tunes, but what about somebody that just suffers from depression?